Hello, and thanks for joining me again for another episode of Pragmatism USA. Today's episode is called Drew Brees, Cancel Culture, and Virtue Signaling. Now, as usual, or at least for the second time, although this is going to be usual, we're going to be starting with today's rat of the day. And today's rat of the day is a guy I really can't stand. Tom Cotton, a senator from Arkansas. I'll be talking about this guy later, and there are many reasons that I can't stand him. But the primary reason is that this guy is nothing but a mouthpiece for Donald Trump, who is King Rat. And anything that Donald Trump says, Tom Cotton will agree with, no matter how outrageous or maniacal it may be. And of course, because Donald Trump thinks that it's a good idea to unleash the U.S. military on American citizens, it's a terrible idea, by the way, and I'll be discussing this actually in an upcoming episode. Tom Cotton thinks, well, this is a great idea. And he wrote a New York Times editorial trying to explain why it's a great idea. And he failed. He wrote, quote, "One thing above all else will restore order to our streets. An overwhelming show of force to disperse, detain, and ultimately deter lawbreakers." I really have a problem with this language of the overwhelming show of force against our own citizens. That makes it seem like the military is actually designed to unleash holy hell upon our own citizens. Now, it's problematic enough when we do this 3,000 or 4,000 or 8,000 miles away. But it's really a problem when we speak of our own citizens as though they're some kind of an enemy. No, you're not supposed to use an overwhelming show of force to deter lawbreakers. You use the amount of force that is necessary. Restraint force. They're American citizens. They're your countrymen. They're not the goddamn enemy. And they shouldn't be viewed that way either. And then this rat writes, "In normal times, local law enforcement can uphold public order. But in rare moments like ours today, more is needed, even if many politicians prefer to wring their hands while the country burns." Okay, first of all, the country isn't burning. Okay? We've had some rioting, we have had some looting. I am not in favor of that. I have said that before. I will say that many times again. I am not in favor of rioting and looting. I think that the cities do have to be put back under control. But at the same time, the rioting and looting right now is decreasing. The country is not burning. We are having some issues in cities, but police actually are taking some steps to control it. They're actually overbearing in controlling it and too quick on their trigger fingers using rubber bullets and tear gas, and that's a problem in and of itself that I'll also be discussing. But at the same time, let police handle this. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the way the police are handling this. But I certainly don't want the military doing it. There is a reason that you keep your military forces and your police forces separate. Okay? The theory is very simple. What is your military trained to do? The military is trained to go and destroy and kill enemy combatants under the guise of protecting the United States. Now, regardless of whether you actually believe that or not, or whether you believe that this is a just effort or not, that is the theory behind the military. Do you want a lot of young soldiers who have been trained with that mentality to be unleashed upon American citizens? It's not a good idea. And I understand that police in America have a lot of problems, okay? But at the same time, I don't think using the military is any kind of solution. You've got to keep them separate for a reason. This is a bad idea. Not to mention, okay, what makes it even worse is if you get into the habit of using the military on American soil, it's going to become easier in the future to do that, and you can best believe that Donald Trump is going to do more of it in the future. And then suddenly, you don't really have a democracy anymore. You have something that is much, much worse. It's a bad idea. Let's move on. Let's talk about Drew Brees. Now, I'm a big fan of sports. I'm not an athlete at all because I'm a fat ass. Okay, I've never been much of an athlete, but I like sports. Go Broncos. Go Nuggets. But I also know who a lot of athletes are. Okay, And this week, in an interview, Drew Brees, who is a quarterback for the NFL's New Orleans Saints, had some comments about the protests and about kneeling in order to protest. And there was some backlash. Now, first of all, let me say this, and I've said this repeatedly about athletes and public figures in general. We have no idea who these people are, okay? I have no idea whether Drew Brees is a good person or a bad person, okay? I've been watching the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, which I've enjoyed, and I have no idea whether Michael Jordan is a good person or a bad person. I don't know. Frankly, I'm not really even sure I care, okay? He was an entertaining basketball player, the greatest basketball player who's ever lived, okay? I enjoyed watching him play. Fine. Okay. Sometimes I like getting into conversations about who's better, him or LeBron James. Okay. Fine. Okay. But we don't know who these people are. They all have a public persona, and that applies to politicians or athletes or musicians or actors. We don't know who they are. Okay. So I can only tell you what we know about these people publicly based on what they do, which is very important, and what they say. So let's talk about some of the things that Drew Brees has done, okay? And again, I don't know whether he's a good guy or not, but I can tell that he has done some good, okay? Drew Brees started the Dream Foundation. The Dream Foundation has donated more than $35 million to charitable causes globally. Its mission is to improve the lives of cancer patients and provide care and education to families in need. Now, that all sounds pretty good to me. Okay, $35 million. There's a lot of families out there in need. Cancer is a terrible thing. Okay, he's at least doing a good thing. Certainly a hell of a lot more than I could contribute. I can't contribute $35 million to anyone. Most of us can't. He can sit on his couch, okay, collect his paycheck from the NFL, do his endorsements, do just fine, and doesn't have to go out and do this charitable work. But I do applaud him for actually going out and doing it. And Drew Brees, in general, has a history for doing a lot for the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. He's been there now for something like, 14, 15 years. And he's as intertwined with his city as any athlete is, I think, with his, okay? Or hers. When I think of Drew Brees, I think of New Orleans and Louisiana. He's been really involved down there. That's always been his thing. Okay? And New Orleans is overwhelmingly black, and Louisiana has a really large black population. A lot of the money that he's given has been used to rebuild schools and athletic facilities in New Orleans and provide mentoring programs for students, especially after Hurricane Katrina. That's one thing Brees was really involved in a lot, is contributing a lot to New Orleans after the destruction of Hurricane Katrina, where the government of George Bush really failed the black people of New Orleans. A lot of people stepped up, and one of those people is Drew Brees, who stepped up big. Drew Brees just recently gave $5 million to the state of Louisiana for relief efforts against COVID-19. Good for him. I mean, that's a good thing. Okay? In 2011, Bleacher Report, which is one of the more popular sports sites, sometimes I like Bleacher Report, called him, quote unquote, one of the most charitable players in the NFL. Brees also has raised awareness for gay teen suicides and helped with the recovery of the BP oil spill in Louisiana. So Brees is a guy who has his hands in a lot of different pots, okay? He's doing hurricane relief. He's speaking out against gay teen suicides. He's working on some environmental issues. He's doing a lot of student mentoring. It's good stuff, okay? I have no idea what kind of a guy he is, but he's out there doing good work. Now, another thing that's really important to him, and we should keep this in mind as we talk about Drew Brees, is the military. He has spoken before about his family members who have served in the military. So he's been involved in 5 USO trips visiting Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, Germany, Turkey, Djibouti, Dubai, Okinawa, and Guantanamo Bay. The USO is the United Service Organizations, is the nation's leading charity for active duty service members. Okay, this is an important thing for him. Okay, it's a really important thing for him is the military. And he's a guy who wears his patriotism on his sleeve. It's not the way that I do things. It's not the way that a lot of other people would do things. But for him, it's important, and I get that. It's not something I would do, but I still get it. Okay. So recently, there has been a lot of conversation about kneeling, and there have been a lot of memes that have been comparing the kneeling that took place on George Floyd's neck, which murdered him, and the kneeling by Colin Kaepernick, who was a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, who kneeled to protest police brutality. And he kneeled during or before NFL games while the national anthem was being sung. Now, I've always supported Colin Kaepernick. His kneeling never bothered me at all. I think that it was a perfectly good way of expressing his opposition to police brutality. I'm glad that he brought a lot of attention to this. He has put his money where his mouth is by contributing a lot to various charitable groups, just like Drew Brees has. And in terms of what Colin Kaepernick has done, I'm a fan. Okay? And I'm supportive of it. I'm still supportive of it. And I think it's unfair that Colin Kaepernick was railroaded out of the NFL for racist reasons, okay? Because he chose to kneel. I'm cool with it, with his kneeling. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, like, I never understood why people were so bothered by Colin Kaepernick's kneeling. Like, what do I care about someone else's patriotism or lack thereof? Okay? Like, I'm a basketball fan, and I'll go to basketball games with my wife or my kids, and the national anthem starts to play, and out of tradition, I will stand up for the national anthem. Some people around me don't. I don't care. What the hell do I care whether they're patriotic or not? It's none of my business. I'm certainly not going to criticize them for it. If they have reasons that they want to stand, good for them. If they have reasons that they want to sit, good for them. Okay? Makes no difference to me. This is America. People can do whatever the hell they want to do in terms of showing their patriotism or not showing their patriotism. And I'll get to this patriotism thing in a hurry, or in a second, because I think it's a lot more complicated than we make it out to be. But in any case, okay, Colin Kaepernick kneeled to protest police brutality. And that's why Colin Kaepernick is back on the front pages, okay, of the country's newspapers again. So Drew Brees he has expressed before his opposition to Colin Kaepernick kneeling. He first expressed this back in 2016, I believe, when Kaepernick was doing his thing. But then he was interviewed a couple days ago on June 2nd, and this is what he had to say. Okay. And by the way, this is where the media is completely irresponsible, because they only give you snippets of what he said. And first of all, I don't think what he said at all is bad. I don't think even the snippets are bad. But the snippets don't give you a complete picture of what Drew Brees said. They just picked out kind of the most controversial elements, if you can call them that, of what Brees said, and then just ran with that. Whereas Brees actually had a nuanced approach. And I want to read what Brees said in its entirety. Okay? Quote, "I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try and make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s. And everyone, all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right throughout our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together, that we can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution." Now, he's saying a lot there, okay? Let's unpack it. Because Brees has taken a hell of a lot of criticism right now for criticizing Colin Kaepernick and kneeling. But he's saying a lot. Okay? This is important for him because of his family's military background. He feels he feels a familial connection to the military. Now, some people, okay, think about it. It seems like he had some kind of really important relationship with his grandfathers, and they probably told him a lot about the work that they did in World War II and risking their lives in what was really America's last just and noble war. It's been 80 years since we've had a just and noble war, but that was America's last just and noble war. Okay, in some respects, maybe America's only just and noble war. This was important for Brees, and they probably instilled in him a love for certain things. Okay, remember, older generations too, they're big on flag waving and the anthem and patriotic songs. It's not my thing, but it's big for these folks, and they probably passed that on to Drew Brees as well. That's where he's coming from. I get it. Okay. He talks also, however, about the sacrifices of the civil rights movement. He's not just talking about the military. He's still talking about how a lot of people actually contributed and sacrificed during the civil rights movement. So that's important to him as well. It's okay for more than one thing to be important to someone. For a lot of different things to be important to someone. And sometimes for conflict to take place, okay, among some of those things. And he acknowledges here, quote, "We still have a long way to go." That's an understanding from him that he sees that there is a problem, okay, in the modern treatment of the black community. He acknowledges that. Okay? And then he talks about unity, and that for him, at least, unity is expressed through singing the national anthem and standing up for the flag. Now, again, I disagree. I think that's kind of a cheap form of unity. Okay, we're just standing up, okay, because that's what we're kind of expected to do. And a lot of us may do it just because we don't want to feel embarrassment, okay? And we may put our hands on our hearts, but these are easy things to do. But Brees sees this as a unifying element, okay? I don't see it that way, but I do understand this in some respects too, because you need these myths to unify us that we can get behind, okay? We all kind of get behind the myth of July 4th, or at least a lot of us get behind the myth of July 4th. Okay, and unity there, or Thanksgiving and unity there, and Christmas and unity there. And these are these myths that we create, okay? And for Brees, this is what's important, okay? For him, standing up for the national anthem, okay, and rising for the flag, quote, "It shows that we are all in this together, that we can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution." So what the hell is wrong with this? What's wrong with what the guy said? Why is everyone bashing this guy so much right now? Because for the past 2 days, if you ask liberals, the extreme liberals, I'm not talking about sensible liberals, but the extreme liberals might as well stick horns on this guy's head. Now again, I'm not with Brees. I don't believe in cheap patriotism. Okay, it's really easy to go buy a flag, most likely made in China, and stick it outside of your house and say, "I'm an American patriot." Okay, it's really easy to buy a t-shirt, okay, that says, "I love America." Okay, that's cheap. Okay, I see all these politicians with their pins of the American flag. Again, that's cheap. You know what patriotism is to me? Patriotism is to me, it is standing up for the core values of the United States. And we fall short of those values many, many times. And we are currently falling short. But fighting for those values, believing those values, willing to die for those values, that's patriotism. Okay? Singing the national anthem, waving a flag, God, that's cheap. Okay? To just say, Donald Trump getting out there and hugging the American flag, that's easy, folks. That takes 2 seconds. It's garbage patriotism, okay? It's fast food patriotism. And I'm not with Brees on this, okay? Because if you really want to impress me with patriotism, how about you fight for the Fourth Amendment, which is supposed to protect Americans against unreasonable searches and seizures and has been gutted by the Supreme Court for the past several decades. How about that? Okay. How about you actually stand up for voting rights so that black people aren't disenfranchised? And that we don't look for ways to throw black people off the voting rolls. That's patriotism. How about we don't lock up kids in cages, okay, after they've crossed a border? Now, I understand we have immigration laws, and I'll do a show one time about immigration, okay? And I understand we have to enforce our laws, but I'm not okay with separating kids from their parents, okay? And putting a bunch of kids in cages. How about standing up for those American values instead of just hugging a goddamn flag, okay? Because let me tell you something. Nobody in the history of the United States or any other country has ever died for a flag. And nobody has ever died for an anthem. And you say, well, of course, all the troops over there, they died for a flag. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. The hell they did. They died for the values that flag represents. The flag is cloth. The values are what matter. The national anthem is a song. The Constitution is what matters. That's patriotism. So frankly, I think what Drew Brees has to say may be pretty idiotic. But you know what else I think is idiotic? Is the response that Drew Brees has been met with, because it is just extreme. It's too much. Okay? Because now we're not just saying, you know what, I disagree with you, Drew Brees. But instead, God damn you, Drew Brees, you're a racist. Drew Brees may be wrong, but just call him wrong and have that conversation with him. You don't have to bury the guy. And it's not that I feel some kind of warmth in my heart for Drew Brees. I want conversations to take place. And if every time that someone expresses their viewpoint that may be unpopular about something, this is what happens to them, you're going to shut them down. You're not going to have any more conversations. So let's take a look at the backlash. David Dennis Jr. in News One. The headline is, Drew Brees doesn't care about black people. Jesus Christ. Okay. The guy makes one comment that you don't like and suddenly he doesn't give a damn about black people? Okay. Fine, you disagree with him. Fine, I understand you're black and I'm sensitive to what you may have to say. Okay. But why do you have to go so overboard? For the past decade or more, he has contributed so much of his time and efforts to actually improving the lives of black people in New Orleans, and suddenly with one comment, with something that he said, not even something that he did, because he's done a lot of really good goddamn things for New Orleans, but with one comment, suddenly that leads you to believe that he doesn't care about black people. That's it. That's all he has to do. He writes, while some in the world are coming around to understanding why black people are angry, Drew Brees is sticking to the covering that makes him feel righteous in his indignation, the American flag. That is such bullshit. Okay? It is not one thing or the other for Drew Brees, and he makes that clear. It is perfectly possible for him to care about police brutality and to care about the flag. It's not my thing, it's his thing. It's important to him for a very personal reason, because his family members have served the American military. That's important to him. Like it is important to you. Like Black Lives Matter is important to you, and that's fine. It should be. Like the Black Civil Rights Movement is important to you, and fine. It should be. To all of us. Like police brutality is important to you, and fine. It should be. To all of us. This is what's important to Drew Brees in addition to all those other things. He's not hiding behind the flag. He's saying, you know what? This is important to me, and this is important to me as well. And sometimes those two things are going to clash. And you don't have to beat the hell out of the guy for it. You don't have to bury him and negate everything that he did with one comment that you didn't like. Richard Sherman. And folks, I like Richard Sherman. Okay, Richard Sherman is a cornerback right now. I believe he's playing for the 49ers. Really good cornerback. Hall of Fame cornerback. Really sharp guy too. Valedictorian at his high school in Compton. Okay, went to Stanford, did really well over there. And Richard Sherman has spoken out a lot about racial issues, and I really appreciate Richard Sherman's ideas because he's a sharp guy, okay? I like Richard Sherman, okay? And Richard Sherman was one of the first guys that I remember saying, you know, when you say thug, we know what you really want to say. And he was right. You know, up until he said it, actually, I never thought about it, but I'm like, wow, the guy's right. It's such a loaded word. Okay? Using thug now is not like it would have been using thug in the 1930s against some kind of a gangster. Okay? But just because I like Richard Sherman doesn't mean I think he's always right. And here's what Richard Sherman had to say about Drew Brees. He's beyond lost. Guarantee you there were black men fighting alongside your grandfather, but this doesn't seem to be about that. That uncomfortable conversation you are trying to avoid by injecting military into a conversation about brutality and equality as part of the problem. He's not trying to avoid that. Why is it so hard for, again, a guy to balance two different things that are important for him? Think about us as human beings. A lot of things may be important to us. Yes, the Constitution is important to me. But also, you know, other countries may be important to me. And my family is important to me. And cheap patriotism is important to Drew Brees. And police brutality may be important to Drew Brees. Julius Peppers, okay, football player and basketball player. Quote, if you're still talking about players disrespecting the flag by kneeling during the national anthem, clearly you're not ready for these conversations. Call a timeout and come back later. Bullshit. Okay? Have a conversation with him. Instead of saying, you know what, clearly you're not ready for this. Take a timeout. Okay? We're not talking right now. Come back later. How about you say, you know what, Drew Brees? I disagree with you. I disagree with you, but let's talk about it. You know, Drew, okay, I don't think you are sensitive enough to police brutality, and Drew Brees may agree with you. I don't think you're sensitive enough to how much black people struggle in America. Maybe he might agree with you. Maybe you can find some common ground. But instead, we're just saying, no, that's it. There's no conversation. Get the hell out of here and come back to me and talk to me when you're ready. Maybe he's ready right now because Brees apologized the next day or 2 days later. He was ready to talk to you. Aaron Rodgers jumps in. And Aaron Rodgers is, you know, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I've said before, I don't know whether guys are good guys or bad guys, but I just really don't like Aaron Rodgers. Okay. To me, the guy just seems like a jerk. Okay, and I've never seen too many teammates defend Aaron Rodgers, and I know he's had a lot of problems with his coaches as well and other teammates. But Aaron Rodgers, you know, he likes to be the popular guy here in Pylon. Okay. Quote, a few years ago, we were criticized for locking arms in solidarity before the game. It has never been about an anthem or a flag. Not then, not now. Listen with an open heart. Let's educate ourselves and then turn word and thought into action. How about you take that listen with an open heart mentality and apply it to yourself? Did anybody bother to talk to Drew Brees? Did anybody bother to ask him, hey, you know, you have something else that you want to add about this? Did anyone say, well, you know what? You know, Aaron Rodgers or Julius Peppers or Richard Sherman or David Dennis, any one of them could say, you know what? I disagree with Drew Brees on this thing. On this thing. So you can have a conversation. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing anyway? Instead of just driving people in the ground, pile driving them, right? I disagree with you. I'm going to bury you. We're not going to talk. There's nothing to talk about. You're wrong. I'm right. You go straight to hell, Drew Brees. And anyone else who disagrees with me on this issue, you're just wrong. Now, some people, I credit them, have come to his support. Tony Dungy was a coach in the NFL, and he's a black coach. And he's a really good coach, too. And Tony Dungy, again, we don't know what these guys are like, but I've never heard a bad word about Tony Dungy, okay? And Tony Dungy appears to me to be one of the most dignified human beings on the planet, Okay? He has tremendous respect from his players and everyone around him. Okay? And one thing about Tony Dungy, he's really level-headed. Okay? And he says, quote, "It may have been not exactly the way he wanted to express it, but he can't be afraid to say that, and we can't be afraid to say, okay, Drew, I don't agree with you, but let's talk about this, and let's sit down and talk about it." Exactly. Exactly. Dungy isn't saying he agrees with Drew Brees, but he's saying, you know what, let's have a conversation about it. Saying, maybe if I talk to Drew Brees and have him see my point of view, then maybe say, you know what, I love the flag, I love the national anthem, I'm patriotic, but maybe Colin Kaepernick was right. But we don't know that because nobody's actually talking to each other, we just talk at each other. Are you on my team over there? Okay, no? Okay, well screw you. You're on my team? Great, you're on my team. Okay, come join me. But remember, you can never disagree with me. You have to be on my team on everything. Everything. And the moment that you disagree with me, you're over there, with that team over there. Okay, so either be over here and agree with me or get the hell out of here. We're just asking to talk to people. That's all we want. Just talk to people. Dungy writes, or says, we can't just say anytime something happens that we don't agree with, quote, hey, I'm done with that and I'm done with this person. And that doesn't make sense, Dungy added. We have to be better than that. This battle is not going to be won by demonstrating and throwing bricks through windows. It's not going to be won by the government saying, hey, we're going to bring out these weapons and dominate the streets again. This is not going to fix anything. We've got to talk to each other. And right now we're engaged in either physical violence or verbal violence. Either I'm going to pick up a brick and hurl it, and that cop is going to mace me, or beat me, or fire a rubber bullet in my throat, or it's going to be verbal violence. Because you know what? The moment you disagree with me, we're done. Aren't we supposed to have these conversations? Right now, we are just so quick to wipe people out as soon as we don't agree with them. Even if we agree with them, 98% of the time, that 2%, that's it, we're done. And I got to tell you folks, okay, I see this more on the extreme left than I do on the extreme right, okay? And I'm not on the right, okay? And I'm not a moderate. I'm quite liberal, actually. But I've got a real problem with the extreme left just wiping people out that way. There's many issues with it, okay? It's self-righteous and it's annoying, it's obnoxious. It also doesn't work. You're just going to push people away like this. You think that the people who agreed with Drew Brees are going to change their minds right now? No, they're not. They're going to dig in their heels. There may be a lot of people out there, because most people are not extremists. There may be a lot of people out there who say, well, you know what? I had family members serve in the military, or, you know, I served in the military, or my wife serves in the military, or my kids do. Okay? So I'm a rah-rah American as well. But you know what? I got a problem with this police brutality thing as well. You know, I got an issue with both of them. But then they see, you know, Drew Brees and the backlash that he's experienced for just saying a few things, okay? And everyone's beating the hell out of him. And that person, okay, who may have supported both, think, wow, you know, who the hell are you, okay, to tell me that I'm wrong, to be concerned both about police brutality and about rah-rah American patriotism? Well, you know what? Screw you. Now I'm not as supportive of your cause about the police brutality and ending that. I'm going to go more and be a rah-rah patriot. And if that's what you did, okay, to Drew Brees, to just pile on like that, what have you really accomplished? You made yourself feel better. Yes. Look at me. I'm wonderful. I've tweeted at Drew Brees. I've Instagrammed him. I've Facebooked him. And I've told him that he is, in fact, a piece of crap. I'm good. All you're doing is pushing people away. You really think, okay, that you're going to go, you know, the vast majority of people who voted for Donald Trump are not Donald Trump fans. They're not his rabid supporters. They voted for him for a number of other reasons, okay? Maybe they bought into his lies, okay? Maybe they really didn't like Hillary Clinton. There's a good reason for that, okay? whatever it was, okay? But maybe they could be convinced. Maybe there's a 58-year-old white guy out there, okay, who could be convinced if you could have a rational conversation with him. And say, well, you know, sir, it looks like you agree on a lot of these things and we disagree on these things. Let's talk about it. Instead, no, we're going to negate you. We're going after you. White privilege, white fragility. Check your privilege. I don't care if any of those things are real. They are. White privilege is real. White fragility is real. Okay, checking your privilege is important. But you think you're going to convince a 58-year-old, okay, white guy who let's say, grew up in rural Ohio or West Virginia to change his vote by trying to bully and badger him? You say, well, I don't care about that guy. I don't want that guy voting anyway. Elections are won by majorities. Okay? And in our country, we have this electoral college as well. You have to get as many majorities as you can in 50 different states. You need to convince those people. You can't just bully and badger them. You need to have conversations with those people. Like normal human beings, which is what we're supposed to do. And think about this too. Everything that Drew Brees has done in the past is now made irrelevant. A decade of contributing to New Orleans. $35 million after Katrina for cancer patients, for underprivileged kids, to mentor people. $5 million for COVID-19. Working against gay suicides. Okay? The work that he's done in general, all of it negated. Screw you, I don't care what you did, I care what you said. We're not going to judge a person by their actions, we're just going to judge them by their words. And you've said thousands of words, millions of words, billions of words throughout your life. I was okay with most of them, but you said these words right over here, now I hate your guts. Okay? I want you to die. Okay? You got horns in your head, you're evil. Screw you, Drew Brees. Everything is just wiped out. Wiped out, it's gone. Gone, like the guy never did anything. Yep, Drew Brees doesn't care about black people, that's it. Brees is probably sitting there thinking, Jesus, what the hell have I been doing for the past decade? Most of the people in New Orleans are black and I've been helping them. You're going to tell me I don't care about black people because I disagree with you on something? And I don't necessarily even disagree with you, I'm just looking at it in another way too. Have we thought about maybe trying to persuade each other? Okay, have we thought maybe about saying, well, you know, this person, they disagree with me, okay? Let's have a conversation. Now, a lot of people, okay, the people who are really dug in on the left, they're far gone. Don't bother, okay? The people who are really dug in on the right, they're far gone. Don't bother, okay? The people who think, you know, like on the right, that the sun rises and falls in Donald Trump's pants, you're never going to get those people. Okay, the people on the left who think that the sun rises and falls in Barack Obama's pants, you're never going to get those people. But that's not the majority of people. A lot of people can be swayed. Remember, the plurality of people in the United States are still registered independent. There's more independents than there are Republicans, and there's more independents than there are Democrats. Okay, and a lot of Democrats have voted for Trump, and a lot of Republicans had voted for Obama. People can be persuaded at times. Make the argument. Don't just badger them. Can't you understand that, you know, you don't have to agree on everything. Okay, if someone votes for Joe Biden, do you think they agree with everything that Joe Biden stands for? Most people? Do you think that everyone who's going to vote for Donald Trump agrees with everything that he stands for? Do all of your friends agree with you on everything? On balance, do people agree with you on a particular issue? You know, Drew Brees might agree with you on a lot of things. But because you badgered him over this one thing, you negated him, it's not leading to anything productive. And you got to respect the fact that people have different viewpoints on different things. And people have different backgrounds too. Of course, police brutality is important for black people because they have to live with it every single day. Every day. And it's tough. And that's what they grew up with. That's what their reality, that's what they're fighting against. And a lot of us white people, we believe them when they're telling us how real police brutality is, and we're going to fight with them. But there are a lot of other people too who might, something else is important to them. Drew Brees grew up with his grandparents telling him that it's really important to have this type of patriotism. And he's got that working in his life, and then he's got the police brutality and the protest working in his life, and he's trying to balance these things. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of people who are trying to balance these things. And a lot of those people are really turned off and pissed off right now because they see how you went after one guy. And you don't have to be a Drew Brees fan to see, you know what? If the other side is going to go after a guy that hard for one statement that he made, then I don't have a chance. I don't want to join them. I'm just going to go over here where at least those people are going to accept me. And what have you done? You thought you were doing something good because you made yourself feel better? No, you just made things worse. That's what liberal cancel culture does. The moment we disagree with you, we're canceling you. You're done. You made one comment we don't like, you're done. And along with cancel culture, we have virtue signaling. And it's all under the self-righteous, sanctimonious guise of making us feel just so good about ourselves. Okay, oh, it's so good. Look, I'm about to show you how much virtue I have. I'm about to show you how good I am, how clean, how pure I am. Because I'm not going to eat at Chick-fil-A. Because Chick-fil-A, they have given money to anti-gay causes, and I will never set foot in there again. I support gay causes. A lot of people support gay causes and can eat at Chick-fil-A too. Not everything in our lives has to be political. Not everything is a life and death struggle. Sometimes a goddamn chicken sandwich is just a goddamn chicken sandwich. That's it. Okay? You're not eating a part of Donald Trump's spirit by eating a chicken sandwich. You're just eating a damn chicken sandwich. So what is virtue signaling? Okay? It's an extension of cancel culture in which we signal how great we are to someone based on something we do or don't do. Okay? Oh, you're not eating a Chick-fil-A because they gave money to anti-LGBTQIA causes? Screw it, I'm not eating either. We're both great. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, Bob, are you eating a Chick-fil-A? You son of a bitch. How dare you eat a Chick-fil-A? Okay, you get over here, we're going to Subway just like everybody else, okay? Because we don't know who they donated to. Oh, wait, they donated to right-wing causes too? Well, hell, okay, we're going to McDonald's. Oh, they donated to right-wing causes. Well, damn it, we are going, where are we going? Where are we going to eat? I don't know where we're going to eat because, somebody has donated to everybody. You know what? I'm just not going to eat. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous because maybe the guy who picked my fruit, okay, is against abortion. I can't do that. I'm not going to eat this apple. How far does this go? Okay. Well, we saw how far it goes this week, and this is goddamn ridiculous. Okay. James Bodenstedt. I didn't even know who the hell James Bodenstedt is. I didn't care. I'm not going to care after I'm done with this podcast. Piss on James Bodenstedt. Who cares? Okay. He's the CEO of Mui Companies. He donated $500,000 to Donald Trump. Okay, first off, let's call it what that is. That's corruption. Okay, we talked about it a lot. Okay, the notion that one guy can just donate $500,000 to a political candidate. It's unbelievable to me. Okay, but the CEO of Mui Companies, okay, donated $500,000 to Trump. Okay, Mui Companies owns Taco Bell, gross, Burger King. Folks, Burger King is the most vile fast food place on the planet. I don't know who eats at Burger King. Who the hell eats at Burger King? Okay, I have never seen a human being eat at Burger King. I'm convinced that this is some kind of a money laundering operations and Burger King is just full of mannequins. Okay, it's been a long time since I ate at Burger King and I will tell you it is repugnant. Okay, don't eat Burger King. It's nothing to do with their politics, but it's goddamn Burger King. It's vile. Okay, Popeyes. I like the Popeyes fried chicken. I do. I'm a fat man. I like the Popeyes fried chicken. I think the sandwich is overrated. Okay, I think it's overrated, but I like the Popeyes fried chicken. It's very good fried chicken. Okay, mashed potatoes, solid. Food there is good. Okay, Panera's okay. Panera's all right. Look, better than Subway, which isn't even food. I mean, I wouldn't feed my biggest enemy food. Well, I feed Donald Trump food, Subway, okay? But Panera, it's all right. You know, it's okay. If you need lunch and there's nothing else around, I guess you can eat a Panera. Pizza Hut, my God, Pizza Hut is bad, okay? Papa John's much worse, but Pizza Hut is really gross, okay? It's gross. Bubba Gump, I've never eaten a Bubba Gump. There's no way it can be good, okay? This is just a gimmick. Del Frisco's, you can do better for a steakhouse, okay? Local steakhouse is much better. Joe's Crab Shack, never eat there. Sounds like crap, okay? Sounds like another pretend place. And Wendy's, okay? That's it. We're not eating there. This guy donated $500,000 to Donald Trump. I'm not eating at any of these places. Well, you know what? If Susie isn't eating there, I'm not eating there because Susie's a friend of mine. Okay? And let me tell you what, okay? I like the chicken at Popeyes, but I don't want Susie to know. And if Susie sees me eating at Popeyes, then she'll think that I secretly support Donald Trump, and then she's going to cancel me out. So I've got to make sure to eat Popeyes when Susie goes to bed. Because otherwise I'm not part of the club, right? We're all saying, okay, that's it, we're not eating at these places. What are we driving toward here? Are we going to have liberal restaurants and conservative restaurants? Are they going to check your voting record when you come into a place? Good morning. Welcome to John's Restaurant. What will you be having for breakfast? But first, fill out your card and tell us your positions on these 20 things. Oh, well, we see that you're pro-choice. That's nice. Okay. We see that you're in favor of raising taxes on the wealthy. Okay, very good. Oh, we see that you're against private prisons. Well, that's very good. Oh, but wait a second. You supported the Iraq war? Okay, take your stuff and get the hell out of here. Or are we going to just go and check everyone's politics, every restaurant owner's politics before we actually dine there? The waitress comes over. May I take your order? Well, not yet. First tell me how you feel about police brutality. Then you may take my order or you may not. We're going to go somewhere else. This has gotten crazy. Okay? This has gotten absolutely crazy. And it's just so people can make themselves feel better. Say, you know what? I'm so pure. I will not eat at Panera. How dare I eat at Panera? Did you hear about their CEO who gave $500,000 to Donald Trump? I will never eat there. And we're so just pure as the driven snow. Okay? I check the politics of every business that I do business with. This is how we make ourselves feel better. And you know, I only see this on the left. I don't see this on the right. They don't have any kind of anxiety about this. Let me let you folks on the left in on a little secret. A lot of the people who are performing services for you do not agree with you politically. Okay? You ever gotten your car fixed? My dad was an auto mechanic. My brother is an auto mechanic. A lot of the people I know are auto mechanics. I grew up in that industry. These people tend to be very conservative. They're working class. What are you going to do? Not get your car fixed? You're going to go over there and check their politics first? Well, you've got to if you're going to stay consistent, right? You can't eat at Wendy's. You can't eat at Taco Bell. You can't eat at Burger King. You shouldn't eat at Burger King. You can't eat at Popeyes. You shouldn't eat at Burger King. I'm just going to say it again. Stop it, okay? You can't eat at Del Frisco's, whatever, okay? Well, then you can't get your cars fixed at this place over there because the auto mechanic doesn't agree with you. And you can't get your hair cut because the person cutting your hair doesn't agree with you. I got my hair cut several months ago, and this woman in the store made it very clear she was a Trump supporter. She also made it clear that she had 2 kids that she needed to support and was a single mom. I gave her a good tip. Because it doesn't matter that she's a Trump supporter. She's just providing a service to me. And people's politics shouldn't be held against them in the services that they provide. And by the way, it is impossible in a modern society to be pure about all of this. You check your phone lately? How many parts in your phone do you think were made in a sweatshop by child labor in China or somewhere else? You hurl your iPhone across the room? I don't think so. You check your car? How many of your parts are coming from another place like that? All these Tesla drivers. Oh, God, I'm saving the environment. It's so wonderful. Really, you ever check to see how much energy is actually required to build a Tesla? You're not saving the environment, folks. And by the way, where do you think all the lithium comes from to develop those lithium batteries? It comes from the Salar de Uyuni National Preserve in Bolivia. I've been there once. It's one of the most remarkable places on Earth. It's world's biggest salt flats. And they also happen to hold a majority of the world's lithium. And they're being destroyed right now because of our rechargeable batteries. There's your Tesla. You're saving the environment. You're a lying piece of garbage if you believe that. You check your clothes. Where do you think they're made? You think they're made in your backyard? They're made in a sweatshop. Why haven't you started going naked yet? Oh no, but we're going to virtue signal over here. Okay, I'm not eating at Wendy's. But over this, the child labor, I really like the latest iPhone, and I'm okay with child labor. Or, you know what, I'm just not going to look over there. That child labor, that doesn't exist, okay? This is what philosophers call the problem of moral distance. See, if we went out tomorrow and someone showed us where an iPhone is built and it was with poor, destitute child labor, we'd say, well, of course I'm not buying the iPhone. But because it's 12,000 miles away or 15,000 miles away, now we have distance and we don't see it, and now we don't care. But see, the people who are actually using it say, no, I really care. Sure you do. Of course you do. You care so much that you're going to buy another iPhone and buy another computer and buy more speakers and buy another television, even though you know, not even that far back in the back of your mind, that this was made in a sweatshop. What I'm really tired of, more than anything, with this cancel culture, with the virtual signaling, is just how rigid it is. Okay? No conversations about anything. We just wipe things out that we don't agree with, that don't line up with what we think are our values. It's too much. We have to be able to talk to each other. Okay? You want Donald Trump out of office? Great. I want him out of office too. You're not going to get him out of office just by badgering people. You want Democrats to be better leaders? Sure. So do I. You're not going to badger them into being better leaders as well. Well, you got to have conversations. You got to have conversations with voters. This is a democracy. We are meant to talk to each other. And we're not doing that right now because all we really want to do is pile on with everyone else and join them and say, look how good and morally pure we are. Let the sunshine, the rays of goodness come on down on me. It doesn't work that way, folks. Politics is messy and people's ideas are messy. And you got to talk to one another. That's it for today. Follow us at pragmatismusa.com. On Instagram and Twitter at pragmatismusa76. Subscribe on the YouTube channel and also check out the podcast. Gradually, we will be adding more content to the website. Tied up with a lot of stuff right now, but that will be coming. Thank you.